Hey, what's up guys? NullRage here, continuing my dive back into Marvel Heroes in 2016, having a look today at the next hero coming out, and that is Green Goblin. Now he is not out yet, unlike Black Cat who I just went over, but he will be out very soon. We're looking at him today on Test Center, and as such, some of his skills are not fully finalized. These don't have icons, and some things are liable to change. Keep that in mind. Alright, his synergy here, if I can find him. At level 25, he's going to grant you 2.5% area power damage. And at level 50, he will give you 5% damage bonus while moving. This will be very nice for him, probably also wanting to use the Juggernaut power, which gives him increased damage to movement power, so I'm not 100% sure, but we'll see. But this will be very nice for him and any other character, because you move a lot in this game, so having that extra 5% damage bonus while moving will be very cool. Alright, so his skills, he's got Madman, Bag of Tricks, and Glider Weapons. Let's have a look at Madman first. He does have two mutually exclusive skills. You can see mutually exclusive with OsCorp Laser, and this one's mutually exclusive with the big one. These are sort of, they're not signatures, but they're very impactful choice skills, and you get to choose one or the other, and we'll go over each of those. Those will probably be the last thing right before the ultimate that we go over, but we'll go over each of the skills in the tree first. Alright, Madman, and they each have specializations. I think they do not have massive effect on how you build your character. Nah, they just modify like one single skill or something like that, so they're not like core integral to the character. Alright, Razor Bats. It's interesting. A lot of the skills he's got share similarities between the what do you call it? The Witch Doctor actually in Diablo 3. There's some obviously some channeling here going on from that character. First off, we've got Razor Bats, and then we've got Sonic Toads. Both very cool skills. But anyway, here's Razor Bats. He throws out just some shurikens, which seem to come back to you. Yeah, they do damage as they pass through, and they do damage as they come back. This is his basic attack, and it looks like a high damage basic, because both hits hit, and they pierce all the way through. Yeah, very powerful for a basic attack, in my opinion. I like that a lot. And next we've got Impaling Boost. Physical damage and energy damage per bomb. So you're gonna do some bombs here. Ah, I see. It's a dash ability. So this is gonna be a lot of your movement is gonna be done like this, just sort of dashing around. Well, I say it will, but this isn't actually very fast, and he's got his glide skill, which we'll go over in a minute, which may actually be what you want to do. But either way, if you want to like dash through enemies and then dash back, then you'll be doing a lot of that. Lots of explosions all over the place. That's going to be what this character is all about. And doing physical energy damage, so things like the Power Cosmic, which boost your damage when you use either a physical or an energy skill, will be very nice on this character, because he's going to be split damage. Goblin Sparks is the next skill in the tree, doing some energy damage, and gain 2% energy damage for 6 seconds per shot, stacks up to 6 times. So we'll look at a Goblin Sparks. Wait, no. This one. There we go. Alright, so each one of these little lasers is going to boost your energy damage. So that might be your... It's a single target Spirit Spender option if you're doing a primarily energy build on this character, it looks like. Pretty cool. Next we've got Glide. Like I said, this one is a pretty nice travel power actually. Let's have a look at it. So he hops up in the air, and now you'll see that as he... Oh man, that was a barrel roll? He does barrel rolls. But he actually just like throws bombs down every once in a while. I'd like to actually see him, I don't know, pulling them out of his bag and just sort of tossing them behind him during the animation. That'd be really cool, but maybe maybe a bit too much work due on the animation for this power that not a whole lot of people will use. It's very cool though. It works similar to the way that bikes work. You can see him leaning and turning and all this. So a lot like Ghost Rider, Cyclops, Wolverine, just about everybody's got like a bike power, how it's got this steering kind of thing to it. And if you turn around all of a sudden, well, he just lined up with the barrel roll, but it doesn't always do that. Sometimes he just spins like this. But if you line it up with that barrel roll, it looks really cool. Alright, that's enough about his travel power. Let's get back to the rest of his skills here. Next up, we've got Strength. I didn't get the rest of these on the bar, did I? Alright, Strength over Sanity. That's a wise choice. Yeah, sure. Go for it, Goblin. It's going to give you some damage rating, crit hit rating, brutal strike rating, a +1 strength, and 5% damage to physical powers. You and your allies gain power, increasing your damage rating and movement speed. It's also your CC breaker. There's the scaling on that, pretty nice. So it's just your offensive passive ability. Wow, that's a lot of stats though. That's pretty cool. And just real quick, here's the animation. Nothing too fancy, it's just a CC breaker for that skill if you choose to use it. Next up, we've got the Goblin formula. Now this is going to be a passive, defensive passive. It gives you defense rating, total defense rating, dodge rating, dodge rating, max health, all the things you've come to expect from a defensive passive. It also gives you a revive effect when you use that Goblin formula to revive. Does it have a cool animation, I wonder? Anyway, there's the scaling on that, and it's also got an active ability that regenerates health per second. Spirit recovers regardless of power usage during the duration, and its duration is 3 seconds, unaffected by power duration. This effect trigger automatically when you're dropped below 30%. So it will heal you up automatically if you drop below, but it also has a revive effect as part of the passive. So it's sort of like a double. Are you gonna hit me? Was I in like, dude? I'm in the sweet spot right now. He can't decide whether he wants to ranged or melee me. That's interesting. All right, so there's the regen effect right there. That regen right there. Oh, and there's the revive. So he steps off his glider for a second. He's actually got a lot of passive regen just from having this Goblin formula on. You know, just that passive regenerate health per second, and he may actually have something stacking with that somewhere else in the tree that we'll find later. I'm not 100% sure, but that seemed like a lot of just passive regen that he had. Pretty cool. Alright, and next up we've got a Carpet Bomb. This is his signature. It's going to do some energy damage and then apply, do energy damage twice per second for 3 seconds. So does it apply a dot? Not 100% sure, but I know it looks really cool. There we go. And you can move while you're doing this. See him like spinning around and doing all kinds of stuff. Each of those bombs that gets thrown out applies it does a small explosion, which then applies a 3-second burn after hitting. It's not going to be that great for single target, I'd say, but definitely a great screen clearing ability. And again, it has a 30-second cooldown, pretty low for a signature, and you can move while you do it. It just goes crazy up there in the air, man. So, pretty cool signature. Next up, we've got the Bag of Tricks. This is going to be focusing on his bomb skills. Just throwing out bombs and Sonic Toads as well. I love this skill. I can't wait till we get to it. Alright. Pumpkin Bomb. Obliterate and burn enemies with your stable explosive ordnance. Staple explosive ordnance. Pumpkin Bomb, an incendiary grenade that generates enough heat to melt through solid steel. Does some energy damage and deals double damage to enemies in the center of the target area. It also applies a small burn effect. A bleed, or, a burn. I'm not sure if it's like tagged as burning. Yeah, it is. It says burn. Burn is in blue. So it does apply that burn if you're using things like the hot pepper. There's an artifact that increases your damage against burning targets or something like that. So as long as you have that up on them, then you'll have that boosted damage. Pretty nice. And now we've got Gas Pumpkin. Going to throw out a gas form of that first one. It's going to do some energy damage and then apply a damage over time effect on the ground. Let's see, explosion, energy damage, if Pumpkin Bomb or Nitros Boost are used to detonate the bomb. Very similar to Punisher's ability. So you can throw this out, put some gas there, and then if you throw an explosion in, boom, the gas explodes and does extra bonus damage, and then applies that dot there on Pumpkin Bomb too. So very cool. So you start off, you light up the area, throw out some gas, and then boom. And you can explode all of those areas too if they're hit by pumpkin bombs. So fill up the entire area here and throw one pumpkin bomb in the middle. They all explode, doing 3 explosions and hitting everything in the area. I like that a lot. That's a good combination between these two skills. Alright, now we've got Hallucinogenic Pumpkin. It's going to do some physical damage and confuse enemies hit before 4 seconds. This, of course, won't affect bosses, I don't think. Confused enemies deal extra damage to each other. There we go. So you throw out that bomb and everybody in the area. Now is it okay? It's a small area, even though the shockwave goes out really far. But the only ones that get confused are the ones close to the explosion. No, this one got confused. I'm not exactly sure how big the area of effect is on this confusion effect. I do know that it doesn't seem like they can get confused rapidly, like in rapid succession. It's got a little bit of a cooldown, diminishing returns or something like that on that CC effect. Alright, but then they'll all start smacking each other, and if they're lit up with Pumpkin Bomb and Gas Pumpkin, that could be really cool. Then we've got Goblin Surprise. I really like this skill. You'll see why in a minute. Energy damage and applies a vulnerability. Also has a stun component to it. You throw out like little boos, man. Like from Mario. That's great. Great. They don't stop though. If somebody looks at them. Oh, that'd be great if they just stopped where they were. If you look at them. But anyway, they're homing missiles, and you can sit. They'll hit the walls apparently if you try to. Yeah, they're not very smart, but they will just sort of home in on all your enemies here. They do a small explosion, and now that smoke might get really obscuring. I'm not sure if they really want to stick with that visual effect. If you have a whole bunch of goblins in one area, throw a whole bunch of that Goblin Surprise, that might be a problem. But still, a pretty cool skill. If you wanted to use it for a single target Spirit Spender, you could. If you wanted to use it for, just AoE bombardment kind of thing, you could. I'm not exactly sure how. I think that like Spirit Spenders, single target Spirit Spenders, got maybe Goblin Sparks. Maybe he's got some other ones. Sonic Toads, really cool. Here we go. Physical damage, and then Toad physical damage. I'm not exactly sure how that's going to work. Anyway, and then it also slows. Let's have a look. I see. Okay. Alright. So we've got massive explosions going on all over the place. If we zoom in a bit, we can see exactly what's going on. He throws out one big toad, and it goes to wherever you have targeted. Yeah? That one toad just takes off and runs. But then he also summons 2 more toads. Let me be clear about this. They are not tagged as summon, so when I said summon, that doesn't, you can't do a summoner build with this character. But it throws them out and pulls out both of those other 2 toads, which then sort of bounce around, and it's a lot like charged bolts from Diablo. From Diablo 2 or other games, it just sort of, they go wherever they go, and then they explode when they get there. So that's pretty cool. And if you just spam this skill, then you got explosions going on all over the place. I really like the visual effect of this skill, personally. Alright, then we've got the big one. Like I said, we'll go over each of these in a second. But first, let's have a look at his glider weapons here. Now these are, the icons are not done. As with a lot of the skills we've been going over, things may change. Nope, nope, nope. Get those. There we go. There we go. So right off the bat, we've got Goblin Gunner. This is a really cool skill. Once activated, Green Goblin will continue to fire in the same direction while still being able to move. It's going to do some physical damage, and it has a massive attack speed. It's sort of like a barrage power that you've seen on other characters, and it's also tagged as a movement ability. In fact, many of the skills in this tree, all of his glider weapons, are tagged as movement. We've got movement here, we've got movement there, movement there. His signature is a movement ability, so again, stacking with that, his glide is a movement ability, and so is his impaling boost. So unless you're doing the bag of tricks, then you can sort of build around movement with this character. Of course, working with his synergy, which is 5% increased damage while moving. So, Goblin Gunner, you hold the button down, and you will fire in one direction. However, if you are, let me get some spirit back here. If you hold that button down and then left click over here, then you can move back and forth. That is really cool. I, of course, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, I probably have, but I use a bound key R to move to cursor, so I don't always left click, but so I can use that and then move around really easy, and use that to just mow down targets in front of me. That is a very cool ability. I really like Goblin Gunner, and OsCorp Laser does something similar. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Nitros Boost is one of his only melee abilities. Nitros Boost here and Wing Clip. He does not have very many abilities that are tagged as melee. I think he's got Impaling Boost here. But those are the only ones that are tagged as melee abilities, so it'd be kind of difficult to build a melee build for Goblin. But if you wanted to, these are the skills you want to look at. Nitros Boost. Physical damage twice per second for 1 second. Why does it not just do 2 hits of damage or something like... I don't know. So it applies a dot for 1 second. And then it does... Oh, I know what. We'll see. Alright. Damage increases with attack speed. It also increases your movement speed by 50%. Let's have a look. Ah, I see. That's why it applies a dot. It's just a very fast dot, and it burns targets. If you spin around like this, if you're in the middle of a whole bunch of characters, then you can spin around and burn them with the tail, the nitros from the rocket here on your glider. By the way, I just gotta, like, the animation for the amount of thrust being given to the glider is great. So if we're standing still, we've just got this little bit of thrust. If he actually starts moving, we've got a lot of thrust. Starts moving faster. Sort of this huge burst, but it doesn't show up as much. Then we've got Nitros Boost. That's great. Alright. So this would be a hard skill to use. I'm not exactly sure. I mean, I guess it does increase your movement speed. If you stacked a bit of movement speed, this could be kind of cool for like Midtown or something like that. It's not incredibly fast though, so you definitely have to stack some movement speed on your character with gear and whatnot, which is a hard stat to find. I don't know if you could work around this skill, man. I don't know, we'll see. Alright, Wing Clip, physical damage, and then it's got a weaken effect applied, and it reflects projectiles on activation. Oh. Oh. Alright, well there's Wing Clip, and let me show you that you can use this while you're moving, and you will continue to move. That's kind of cool. Can I left click and then... Yep. I can left click over here, wing clip on the way, and I just spin around in place but continue my movement. Alright, let's go show the reflecting projectiles here. Shoot me? Nope. Reflected that. Shoot me again. Reflected that. Oh, no, I actually just smashed right into it. Hold on! Wait, did I dodge that one? I'm confused. There we go. Reflected. Reflected. No, this is not working too well. I'm not getting hit, but... Ah, I see. Okay. This is an interesting skill as far as projectiles are concerned. It's got a little bit of an invulnerability thing going to it, but you only reflect the projectile if you can manage to hit it with the glider. You know, the part that you're spinning around. See, there, reflected that. And there we go. Reflected that one. But if they get too close, like that one right there, I actually took the hit. If they get too close, you can dodge them like that. You can dodge them by moving your character out of the way, but you won't reflect them. And they seem to get reflected in the direction that you hit them with the glide. They've done a lot of work to make this wing clip work properly. All right, so I just gotta take a second to recognize the amount of work that went into making wing clip work properly. Well done, guys. All right. Next up, we've got a remote-controlled dive. It's going to send your glider careening into enemies in front of you. It's going to do some physical damage, and it's got an 8-second cooldown. Animation on this is interesting, but I think it could use just cleaned up a little bit, because it's sort of... I mean, this is Test Center, but you jump into the air, you throw your glider at the ground, or send it flying into the ground, and then it sort of just like disappears, and all of a sudden you're back on it. I feel like this would be a very cool skill to like have this sort of... If you use this skill, you're not on your glider for a second. You actually land on the ground and maybe have to run over to your glider to get back on it, and then it would disable glider powers during that time, but then they'd have to set up all new animations for what Green Goblin does when he's walking. It'd be a lot more work, but I think it could be really cool, and you could actually set up different, stat changes based on whether or not you're on your glider or something like that, and have this sort of two different types of gameplay. Based on whether or not you're on your glider and whether your glider's on the ground. Maybe they could... Oh, man, I'm getting too imaginative here. Anyway, let's stick with what this does right now. It does physical damage, it has an 8-second cooldown, and then you hop back on your glider. Getting way too imaginative here. Alright, then we've got Rocket Barrage, physical damage, and this power always deals a critical hit. It fires 3 projectiles, has an 8-second cooldown. Maybe there's some... it doesn't mention remote control dive. Aw. Alright, Rocket Barrage, here we go. That's pretty cool. I like this skill. Oh man, that's a very satisfying animation. The sounds are well done. You'll probably be using this every 8 seconds as one of those sort of skills you weave into your regular rotation, or part of your rotation, for huge burst damage, and with it dealing a critical hit all the time. Pretty cool. Alright, finally we're to the mutually exclusive skills here. And I saved them for last. Want to go over them, well, not really last because we've got his signature, or his ultimate. But the main reason is that they're mutually exclusive. If you choose the big one here, then you won't get the OsCorp Laser.
I'm an innovator in destruction.
He's an innovator in destruction. I like the voice work. I should just real quick.
Let's get physical. Let's make like an egg and beat it.
Alright, he's got some great voice work. I really like the way they've done Green Goblin here. Alright, so the big one is gonna throw a real big bomb. It's going to do some energy damage, and then that big bomb will fragment into even more explosion. It does increase damage against targets that are vulnerable, burning, and poisoned. So we've got poisons here, we've got burns here in Pumpkin Bomb, and then we've got vulnerability with Goblin Surprise. Then finally, the big one. So we throw out all these, right? We'll probably... And we'll do that, and then that. Yeah, I think that's the way you're going to want to use them. Goblin Surprise for vulnerability, Gas Pumpkin to poison them, and then Pumpkin Bomb to burn them. Boom, boom, boom. And then the big one. The big one, of course, explodes and does 33% more damage for each one of those effects that is applied to the target. The thing is, I don't know... When you consume that gas with the burn, I think they stop being poisoned. So you might actually want to use it the other way around. So vulnerability, burn, poison, big one for more damage. Now granted, you'll miss out on the... Well, I mean, you could just throw the bomb after that. So yeah, boom, 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 boom. And that would sort of be your rotation right there. Vulnerability, burn, poison, big one for that boosted damage, and then Pumpkin Bomb to ignite the explosion from Gas Pumpkin and continue that burn. But anyway, more on what the big one does exactly. It does a huge explosion, and then bombs bounce out and damage everything around it. In fact, it goes off the screen. I couldn't even see where some of those bombs landed, but they'll do damage to everything behind the target. It's pretty cool. There are some specializations you can choose here. We've got Ghost Clusters, which is going to change Goblin Surprise to gain a 4-second cooldown and fire 4 additional projectiles at half damage. 4 projectiles at half damage effectively equates to twice the damage of the initial power. I think, yeah. But it sort of spreads the vulnerability over a wider area. And it does have a cooldown here, but then if you're using other skills, like we talked about, then you're probably okay with that cooldown, because right about the time that you would finish your rotation of these 4 skills, your Goblin Surprise would come back up. Yep, and that's right about the time. There's Goblin Surprise right there again. Alright. Then we've got Lethal Toxicity, which causes Hallucinogenic Pumpkin now deals 50% increased 50% damage, gains a cooldown, and makes enemies vulnerable to damage over time effects. Does it do 50% more damage or 50%? Hold on. Alright, it does 50% more damage, because we've got a physical damage of 5,000 to 8,000, and then we apply this, and now we're at 8,000 to 12,000. So choosing this really boosts that hallucinogenic pumpkin, giving an extra 50% damage, and then also makes them more vulnerable. Stacking, does it stack? No, I think it overrides. This is a more powerful vulnerability. I'm pretty sure this overrides Goblin's Surprise. I don't think it stacks and becomes like 30% extra damage, but it would extra damage from damage over time powers. So things like your Gas Pumpkin or your Pumpkin Bomb or Nitros Boost. It's a damage over time. Very short damage over time, but still a damage over time. And that could be cool. There you go. It doesn't visually change the pumpkin very much, though. The pumpkin stays about the same. And I think it... Did it always have that cooldown? Let's see. We get out of combat here. We can turn that off. Come on. There we go. Combat's ended. Yeah, it's still... Oh, no. No. It gains a cooldown. Yeah, it gains a very small cooldown. Yeah, it gains a cooldown. It's a very short cooldown, though. But it does gain that cooldown. Alright, and then Reign of Toads is the final specialization here. Like I said, taking a little bit of inspiration from the Witch Doctor of Diablo. Deals 50% more damage and summons 6 extra toads, but gains a cooldown. Here we go. Lots of toads. Oh, that's really cool. But it does turn this into sort of an ability that you'd weave in. This actually could be kind of cool. You wouldn't be able to summon out all of the toads, but it would allow you to weave this in with... Oh, we want to do that. There we go. So weave this into your normal rotation here, which would... Boom. Lots of damage. Then, of course, you'd go back into this. I don't know what your... I mean, this is a basic ability. What would your... Probably that. Yeah. That would be your single target Spirit Spender. So that'd be what you'd use whenever you weren't doing this rotation. And Sonic Toads, you'd want to use it every time it's up. This could be really cool. But if you choose that specialization, you wouldn't be able to do this. Which again, is a really cool thing to do. To use this as your single target Spirit Spender that just happens to also do massive AoE and make everything just really confusing. Alright, let's see. Let's reset some stuff here. We get out of combat, and we'll go over the OsCorp Laser. Wow, I've spent a lot of time on this big one, haven't I? Alright, so the OsCorp Laser.
Something special for my bag of tricks.
Like I said, it works very similar to the Goblin Gunner. How it, once activated, Green Goblin will continue to fire in the same direction while still being able to move. It does energy damage twice per second. It does 10% damage for 10 seconds after using a cooldown power. Stacks up to 3 times. Stacks are consumed on use. So every time you use an ability that has a cooldown, this power will get more powerful. That's kind of cool. Let's find some abilities that have cooldowns. I think we're definitely going to want to use Wing Clip. Ultra becomes Ultra Wing Clip is going to be the specializations. So we'll put points in here. And this becomes Impaling Boost. Okay. Let's do that, and then Nitros Boost has a specialization. Alright. Anyway, let's look at the OsCorp Laser. It's got a channel time of 1.5 seconds. This is unaffected by power duration. And here's what it does. There's a laser right here. And like the tooltip said, you can move while you're doing this. Let me get it charged back up. There you go. You can move back and forth. And like I said, this is Test Center, so the animation sort of died there. Let's see if we can show it one time with the animation not dying on us. There we go. Now you can move back and forth and do this beam of damage. It would be kind of cool if, in addition to increasing the damage, each cooldown power would also increase the channel time. So let's say you've got some abilities out here with cooldowns. This is a cooldown ability, Carbit Bomb. I mean, I guess that counts, right? What are some other cooldown abilities? Does this count? Strength over Sanity? That's got a long cooldown on it. I think it's got some others, but I can't quite recall where they were. This does not have a cooldown. This does not innately have a cooldown. Confused duration. Let's see. That does not have a cooldown innately. Yeah, I'm having a hard time. Here we go. Remote control dive. And rocket barrage. Right. So your three cooldowns that you'd probably be using are carpet bomb, rocket barrage, and remote control dive. There you go, and then you'll do that, and then you'll come down, and then you'll laser with that boosted damage from using all of those abilities. Then you'll go back into using these, and probably shooting some energy laser goblin sparks in between to fill, and then using the laser again every time it's off cooldown for that boosted damage. Could be a very interesting playstyle. Alright, anyway, we've got 3 specializations. Vicious Cycle is going to modify Wing Clip, becomes Ultra Wing Clip, dealing 100% damage in a larger area and gaining a cooldown. I don't think that causes a gaining cooldown, but this will cause Vicious Cycle here to become Ultra Wing Clip. It even changes the name on the tooltip. That's cool. And gains that cooldown, so this will count as one of your powers. So what you can do is you can barrage, and then do that, and then you'll gain the fully boosted damage for OsCorp Laser. Or you've got Serrated Blades, which is going to sharpen the blades on the Green Goblin's glider, causing impaling boost targets to bleed for 8 seconds. So if you go through them with impaling boost. Now, should mention that it's only the targets hit by the initial hit. Like if I'm just moving through, those bombs do not cause the bleed. It's only the targets that are actually hit by the glider that start bleeding. Alright, Engine Upgrade is going to Nitros Boost now stays on for 8 seconds while dealing 50% less damage, and other powers can be used while it's active. Oh. So basically it's got an 8-second duration, a 10-second cooldown. It turns Nitros Boost into, which has a cooldown innately now, turns it into like this little kind of steroid ability. Oh. You guys can't see the giant smile on my face right now, but this changes things. Okay, that's really cool. Because every time you spin around with Wing Clip, you're going to spin the Nitros Boost around, hitting everything around you. It also makes the dot last longer. If you enjoy Nitros Boost, this is definitely the specialization for you. And that's going to be the one you want to choose if you want to do a movement-based build. Using Nitros Boost, Wing Clip, and Impaling Boost, and that does make that a little bit lackluster, in my opinion, Serrated Blades here, because it like if you're wanting to do a movement build which would use Impaling Boost, you want to take Engine Upgrade rather than Serrated Blades. Serrated Blades sort of seems a bit out of place compared to these two specializations here. In fact, you might even want to take... Oh, wow. Okay, so maybe it's just my opinion. You know, those are pretty common. Everybody's got an opinion, right? But I think Engine Upgrade is just far superior to these two. Maybe that's just me, though. Anyway, that is all of his regular skills. Let's have a look at his Goblin Cannon. Spider-Man once mocked this weapon in its early prototyping stage. Let's see him mock it now. Sorry, that was a very bad Green Goblin. Or awesome. Energy damage twice per second. Active duration of 6.1 seconds. Unaffected by power duration. I wonder if that scales with points in your ultimate. I'm not 100% sure. It doesn't exactly tell me anything more than that. It just says energy damage twice. Let's find out. Alright, here we go. Whoa! You can move it around too. Oh, that's cool. It's a lot like Thor's ultimate, except that you have the ability to move and around. That's a very nice ability there, doing massive AoE damage. And of course, it's an ultimate. It doesn't have. You are invulnerable during the power, but it doesn't like boost any of your other abilities. It's not like a steroid or anything, but it probably does just amazing damage on its own. So pretty cool. All right, that was Green Goblin. Before we end this, I do want to note one little thing that I meant to talk about at the beginning here, but now again, this is Test Center, so things aren't quite done yet. And you're dealing with a character that's riding a glider at all times, so this is like new territory. But this animation right here, I don't know if this is the way he always flies or something. You know, I'm used to seeing him fly like this. This is his combat animation, and this is really cool. But his idle animation, when he's moving around, I'm not really the biggest fan of it. It's kind of really stiff. Again, though, this is Test Center, some of that may change, but just a little bit of feedback that I wanted to give during this video. Alright guys, I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at Green Goblin. Again, running way over my time. I'm not quite in the practice of making shorter videos just yet, so bear with me. But I hope you guys have enjoyed this look at Green Goblin's skills. We've got a number of things that I still need to go over, and over the next couple days or so, I'm going to be going over those. I hope you guys have enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one. Until then, take it easy. Have a good one. Peace.